So in the last video I said we'd get this on the dyno as is, run it as is, then make some small adjustments like the torsional value or cam timing or cam adjustment, whatever you want to call it, a fuel filter, air filter, things like that, see what difference each thing makes. Now thinking about it, the dyno I use belongs to a friend of mine and I rent it by the hour. So the longer I'm on there, the more money it costs. Another thing is fuel filter. Changing a fuel filter can be a bit messy, don't want me to get diesel all over his rolling road. So I'm going to prep the vehicle beforehand. So I'm going to do the fuel filter, the oil filter, the air filter, new oil, and adjust the torsional value or camshaft timing or camshaft adjustment, whatever you might call it. And I'll show you what's involved in that and how it works and what it means in a minute. But it is quite an important thing. It can help the engine to run smoother. The fact is it can make more power because the timing in which the valves open can affect power directly. Not massively on this because there's not a huge amount of adjustment, but it can do. Responsiveness as well. So let's crack on. I'm currently running the engine up because you need to get the engine to operating temperature to see what the current torsional value is. So let's have a look at where we are. 70 degrees, so not warm enough yet, and we're at minus 3.9 kilowatts. These tend to run, usually can run to about, I think it's 5 or 6, I can't remember offhand, but you want them at 0 or as close to 0 as you can get them for optimal running. As you can see, this is why we run it up to temperature. It's not up to temperature yet, it's at 78 degrees, but the torsional value is actually getting slightly worse so as things warm up. So once we're at proper temperature, like I like to, most people say 80 degrees, that's fine, but I like to wait till the fan kicks in and go from there. Right, we hit our target value at about 98 degrees, it's cooling down at the moment. And we were tethering between 4.4 and 3, or minus 4.4 and 3.9 kilowatts. So that gets a big fat from me. So let's sort it out. Right, firstly, pull your engine cover off. Then your belt cover, you've got a little clip there, a little clip right behind these fuel pipes. Can't really show you, but you just pop it out. And one right down the back, which again I can't show you, but you just move around and feel it slides up and out. There you go. That is one cam belt cover off. Pretty easy to access. And then you can see what I mean by variable timing. So you have a center bolt that holds the camshaft to a sprocket pulley behind these outer pulleys. These outer pulleys, kind of like vernier pulleys on petrols where you can adjust them. They've got some adjustment in them. You see these 13 mils here. They've got a groove in them for slight adjustment. So what it means is we can loosen them off, turn the cam, lock them back up and run it up again. Same for the exhaust side. The torsional value is reading just the inlet side. What we want to do is match the rear thereabouts to the slot position on that and then watch our fuel litres per hour to try and balance them out as well as we can. So let me show you what tools we need. Right, the tools that you'll need, aside from the diagnostic machines, all very basic. Diagnostic machine wise, literally any diagnostic machine will read data channels on these vehicles. So you don't have to be this one. A lot of people use VCDS, or people at home use VCDS Lite, which is free. A lot of people using the clones of VCDS. I don't see a point. The real thing is so cheap, you know, support that real company and they'll keep developing the tool. If you keep buying cheap, fake crap, there's no one to actually develop it to make it work. Anyway, enough of that boringness. Hand tools wise, very straightforward. A torch. You don't 100% need a torch, but I always like a torch to see what I'm doing. A torque wrench and a ratchet. Having the torque wrench negates the need for a ratchet, but I like to save my torque wrenches, so I put all the ratcheting work down to ratchets and nip them up with a torque wrench. An 18mm spanner, not 100% necessary, but it can be helpful. 13mm spanner and a 13mm socket. That's it. Right, so you slacken off your inlet cam pulley 13s. You should use a tool to stop the pulley moving, but a quick nip just gets them going. Don't take them out, just slacken them off. And then you also slacken your exhaust ones. These are, I've seen people replacing these and Loctiting and stuff. You don't need to do any of that. They're not stretch bolts. You don't need to replace them when you undo them. They're part of the normal job of when you do the cam belt anyway. You undo them, you don't replace them. So yeah, you can just reuse them. Otherwise, this would be a bit of a pointless exercise. So they're nice and loose. Just check that they're loose. Make sure they're not out. And then do the same on the exhaust. The reason I use the 13 spanner sometimes is you'll always get one that's hiding just behind the brake reservoir. It's hardish to get a socket in there, just crack it with a spanner. Right, there you go, all 6 loose. You know, turn freely by hand, which means the pulleys will move freely. Now on these there is 3 little windows. You've got window there, and a window with teeth on it there, same on the other one. You can use that as a more accurate guide than what I'm about to do. But because the engine is stopped in the position it's stopped in, I'm not too bothered and I don't want to be turning the engine over. So what I'm going to do is just look at the slots the bolts are in and try and move them more to the middle. So we get our 18mm spanner, this little bad boy. So remember, the reason this works is that them pulleys are slack. They fit, so it's hard to show you and explain 100%. There's just basically another kind of like a pulley, like a sprocket behind there that this pulley bolts to. It doesn't bolt directly to the camshaft. Well, that part behind, and never mind anyway. Right, get your 18, you're keeping an eye on your bolt hole, and you turn your cam forward to round about the middle of the slotted hole, which I reckon is about there. Then you're going to nip these up again in a second with your ratchet or spanner or whatever way you want to do it, and then you do the same with the rear. Just try and match it to the front. Quick way of getting this pipe out of your way, just tuck it behind the filler cap for your coolant, for your screen washer. There we go. Oh, I'm off. It's harder than it looks, than you might think doing it holding a camera. Again, pull it slightly forward. Try and aim for the middle-ish of the holes. If we've gone too far, obviously we'll get a positive number on our torsional value. If not gone far enough, we'll still be negative. We're trying to get as close as we can to 0. This isn't a big job by any means. It's fairly quick. It's really good for the car. Makes it run miles better, both idles better, runs smoother. And like I say, it does have a bearing on power and power delivery. So just make sure they're all okay. Give them a little nip, go around like this to pull it in evenly. I can sometimes sound like a bit of a stickler for the details, but I think it's done properly. What's the, you know, you could get your ratchet straight on there and tighten it all right up, or you know, spend an extra couple of seconds and do it right and not run the risk of it not seating correctly and stripping down the engine when it all goes horribly fucking wrong. Right. Boom. Now, so what I'm going to do is get my torque wrench. These are 25 Newton meters. You do these two. It's the same on all the PD engines. Well, as far as I'm aware, always check it up. But for the last, how long have I been doing this? Over 20 years. I've been fixing cars, and the PD engines have been around for about 20 years, longer even. I've been working on them for 20 years anyway. And every single one I've done has been 25 Newton meters that I can remember. One thing I will say is, remember the little clips you took off for the cam cover? 2 of them are on the cover. There's the one that I couldn't show you because of the fuel pipes. And, oh sorry, the other one is built on the car there, down there, that I still can't show you, but it tucks nicely out of the way. This one tends to, get my hand in there so you can see with my hand in there. This one here tends to hit the idler wheel. All you got to do is pull down that vacuum pipe slightly and tuck it behind there. It doesn't do any damage when it hits the idler wheel, but it just saves you wearing more stuff out, doesn't it? Again, doing things properly only takes a second. Right, so now we're going to torque them up 25 Newton meters and then run it up to temperature again. It shouldn't be far off temperature as it is. When torquing these up, you're supposed to, let me move that pipe back out of his way. There you go, so you can see properly. Use a sprocket locking tool or cam pulley locking tool, which basically is a long bar with 2 little prongs that go like that into these holes, just to help you, you know, you hold the bar and then you can put that on without it trying to turn the whole cam belt. That's my torque wrench, which I haven't set yet. I have that tool. I don't know where it is at the moment, and to be honest, I don't always use, or don't often use it anyway. it's just because all you're doing with this. So like, there you go, I'm just gently on. I'm going to do the others before I actually torque it. Gently on. Gently on. And then, so it doesn't turn anything, a short sharp. You hear that click? That's torqued. It's not a great deal of torque, 25. You can hear that creaking, it is not the clicking, now it's clicking. There you go. So do that to all 6. Now, those of you paying attention will be like, oh Ray, all your torque wrench, blah blah blah. You said that back one, you couldn't get a ratchet on or anything because of the reservoir. And it's true, it is, isn't it? Well, you guys at home who may only have the one torque wrench will have to turn the engine over. Or if you're like me and you have lots of different torque wrenches for lots of different situations, you'll have a dinky little guy like this who will, I didn't show you that in the tool list at the beginning because I love him and I hide him. You will just get on there and hear that nice affirmative click. Put a lot more force into this one because it's a lot shorter. But there we go. So you got a 3/8 one and a little quarter drive boy there. Anyway, right, so they're all nicely torqued. Move this off the engine bay and we can run her up. Just realised I didn't record that last bit. I thought I pressed record, I hadn't. So basically, it just didn't want to start. Gone too far forward, so now I've gone back a bit. And when I run it up, this is a bit lucky. Normally it takes a few more goes than this, but oh, come back up. Show you. Come on, load up. There we go. 0. What's our current temperature? 75, 76. So now I'm going to adjust the rear one, and what I'm trying to do with the rear one is, where's our litres per hour? There you go, litres per hour. We're at 1 at the moment, so we need to bring that down to about 0.6. I've come a tiny bit too far, so I'm at a 0.2 to 0.4, so I'm just going to back it off very slightly and nip it up, and that should be it, done. Just to show you how fine the adjustments are, I've moved that about 1 millimetre, and that's jumped up to 3. As you can hear, the engine's not very happy, so we'll move it back a bit more. There we go. Sorry, a couple of interruptions during the job, but all in that took about half an hour, including interruptions and lots of adjustment. So now the torsional value gets a thumbs up from me. As you can see, it's slowly teetering between 0.4 and 0.6. I am going to readjust this to 0.4 anyway, even though 0.6 is the recommended. I find the engine slightly more responsive at 0.4. It doesn't do it any harm either. Yeah, so that is how you adjust your torsional value. Not rocket science. Now I'm going to carry on. I'm not going to show you changing oil and filter and an air filter and a fuel filter because, you know, it's very, very basic, straightforward stuff. But what I will let you know is the whole time the engine is, well, like from warm up to now and all the runnings in between, I have had some engine flush in it. I use the TerraClean one because it's very good and it's non-corrosive. It's like citrus-based stuff. But yeah, there you go. And I'm actually going to readjust the fuel consumption back down to 0.4 because I prefer it. Right. So, as this section is about maintenance, just thought I'd show you this. Obviously, I'm not going to show you how to drain oil, but maintenance isn't just about changing bits. It's about checking things over, things that might be on their way, things that may have gone that you haven't noticed. This is a brand new vehicle to me. I want to give it a good check over, and what I have noticed just from a quick glance underneath is that intercooler pipe there is very oily, like it's not been sealed very well. But even more importantly, that one there is off. And it's been boosting and driving lovely, and no smoke or lack of power or anything like that, or codes. See, but these are the things you do need to check as part of your maintenance, because that will have come off on me eventually, and lack of power and stuff, and I want this vehicle to be in as reasonable condition as I can, you know, get it without spending much money on it, because it is, like I said, a bit of a project. Because there's no point in wasting dyno time if the vehicle isn't already in good condition on dyno time and money. So yeah, I'm just going to go over and check over suspension, tyres, all that sort of stuff as well, brakes while I'm under here. There you go, things to check for. Right, so we've done our service bits. I've addressed that boost pipe that's down the bottom there that I showed you a moment ago. Temporarily, realistically, it wants a new pipe. There's like a clip holds it in place, and on the pipe itself is two little noggins, like one on either end, that have got a sharp edge and an angled edge, so the clip slides over and clicks in, worn away, so it will blow off again. So that wants a new pipe in the long run. Our service bits are here, so our air filter, fuel filter and oil filter. They're not the worst I've seen. Yeah, they're not terrible by any means, but they definitely warranted changing. One thing to note, when changing your oil filter, always change your rubber seals. They do perish. Same with the fuel filter. You've got a seal in here for the outlet pipes. It's under there, obviously, on top of the filter. And this is the main seal that goes around the cap. Now, I've seen this happen a lot. This can be a bit of a bugger. It can pinch when you're putting it in, and you can get a diesel leak, so I'd always suggest putting a bit of lubricant on there. Not diesel, because it's dry. So like rubber grease or just a tiny bit on there while you're putting it in and bolting the cap down. So we're all but done, oil in it, everything's in it. But one last thing I always advise, and I always do, is I know I've checked it. It's been sat a little while now, and just give a recheck of the, see that little 13 that I'm pointing at there? Of the cam pulley bolts, and retorque them. And that's pretty much it, maintenance wise. I've checked everything over, suspension's good, brakes are good, tyres are really good, they must be quite new. Now, I think this had a new flywheel and clutch not so long ago, dual mass flywheel on it. It's got a bit of a rattle, which is no drama, but I just don't like it. Again, I can't complain, it was a cheap car. But otherwise, yeah, she's pretty healthy, like I say, besides those boost pipes. So the next stage will be get it on the dyno, see what's running as standard. While we're there, we'll whip up a tune or two, try some different tunes on it, see what it's like. Right, so I'm back where I belong, in my van that I love. Done plenty of miles in the Leon, done some data logging, which we'll go into in another video. It drives so much better with the torsional values, or cam timing adjusted. Far smoother, better power delivery, feels more powerful anyway, like slightly more powerful anyway. And some of this will be to do with obviously that boost pipe, but I know from experience these are the things that it does. And number one thing is when it's at idle, it's far smoother. So the next step will be tuning, or data logging and tuning. I don't know if I'll do one video or two separate videos, one about data logging and one about remapping it. First we need to run the vehicle on the dyno as is, give her a standard tune and see, give her a standard run and see what she's pumping out, see if it's good for the mileage or not. Like, the data logs so far are showing good. I haven't gone too deep into them, but I will do some deep data logging. But for the mileage, it's logging really well. I'm not going to tell you the mileage just yet until after we've had it on the dyno in another video. But it's very healthy by the feel of it, by the data logs for the age and mileage of the vehicle. In all honesty, I rarely tune these anymore. They're all shit, most of them. They've been ragged to death. As standard, they're terrible anyway. They blow up. You know, they were a great car for their time, and as they got older, they got maintained less, and people ragged the life out of them and tuned them beyond their capabilities. The standard turbo on one of them can barely handle original power. They tend to crap themselves at about 80,000 miles without any additional boost anyway. When they do crap themselves after being tuned, it's not usually because of the tune, it's just because it was the turbo's time to let go. You know, they're not great, they've got the greatest oil seals in the world. Anyway, that's all for another video. Next video maybe, or video after, I'll see how I feel. I've also got one of them draggy things coming, so maybe we could record some actual, I don't know how to overlay it onto a video, but I'm sure we can figure out some actual differences. Now 0 to 60 isn't my thing in real life. I don't think it's anyone's thing doing a 0-60 or drag race on the road, especially where we are. There's no traffic light. For me, real life is you're moving and you want to plant it and get somewhere fairly sharpish. I might try a 0-60. I don't like doing it. I don't do it on my own cars. I don't do it on customers' cars. It's bad for cars. It's not a real test of a car. Wow, you can get to 60 from a standstill. Well, why would you have been at a standstill if you were giving it some? Like, you should see the road ahead of me now. It's about, where the hell am I? I don't know, I've just left Tor Bay. I'm on a very, very long country, straight dual carriageway here, and then I'll be on some country roads. There's no stopping and, oh yeah, pull up at the lights and do a 0-60. It's someone pulls up beside me, I'm going to plant it and go while we're moving. Whoa, dude in front of me just clipped the curb. Anyway, I'm trying to avoid that. Oh, peacock. No, one of them grouse things. Anyway, sorry, I always digress. I'm terrible. So, how much have we spent so far? I should figure out, a little thing might come up here with some prices. But in the last video, episode 1 of Samuel Leon Jackson, we got him back to life, running alright, £190. What have we spent so far? So on the last video you saw £190 to get it up and running. That was in episode 1 of Samuel Leon Jackson, and in this amazing episode we have done, well, I don't know the prices offhand because I haven't looked at the invoices, but I only buy decent quality stuff, which was fully synthetic oil, 5W30, I think it was Castrol, I can't remember, an oil filter, a fuel filter, an air filter, some little consumable odds and sods. I lubed up some things, I put some screen wash in it, topped up with coolant, bits like that, so probably 100 quid's worth of stuff. I don't know, I'll put an accurate thing here somewhere where you can see it, and then we shall go on to our next video, I guess. Hopefully tuning and data logging, or data logging first then tuning. I'll see how long each one is. I'm trying not to bore you all too much. That's it. Thank you very much if you watched this far, if you watched at all.